I guess my intro didn't play. Um, Welcome everybody to the After Dark Show. I'm Don Rogers. Um, there was supposed to be an intro, so that kind of threw me off. Uh, I'm really happy tonight to have somebody that I consider a close personal friend, and who I'm talking about. She is an intuitive, an energy worker, a tarot reader, and probably like the mother of the three most adorable kids I've ever seen. Uh, who I'm talking about is, like I said, my close personal friend, Selena Inglez.
Hello. Hi. Thank you, Dawn.
Hi, Selena, and I'm so happy to have you on. I was honored that you actually made my show the first one you came on when you decided to, come out from behind the chat and started, you know, telling everybody what you can do and what you're into. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you about tonight is like your spiritual awakening and like how that led into energy work and all of the stuff that goes on in the woo woo world that we're involved in.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
absolutely. I'm just really happy to have you back because I felt like, we had a great chat the last time, but we didn't really get to know you. And I wanted everybody to know you because you and I have talked off camera and like just kind of shot the shit. But
Yeah.
there's a really cool side to you that I don't think many people know. And that's what I want to bring out tonight.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Um, so I guess my first easy question is well, which would you say you noticed first? Your raised intuition or that you were starting to have a spiritual awakening?
Mm, I think it was the raised intuition first because I started being able to notice things for the first time that I had never been able to notice before. So, like, I think like I spent a lot of my life really afraid of the spiritual side of it and the fact that I probably had like psychic gifts all my life, even as like a young child, and not knowing how to interpret that and process that. I think that it made me suppress a big major part of myself that was intuitive and could feel into things in the way that like I have a better understanding of now. So, yeah.
No, and that makes sense. And I want to get into that later. Um, so, as far as the side of it, of your spiritual awakening, what really kind of would you say was the catalyst to that really kind of popped you on? Like, and when I say spiritual awakening, I'll give my own definition of it here. A fundamental a fundamental shift in your understanding of the reality around us. Like, oh wait, everything's not what everybody's been telling me my entire life. There's a whole lot more going on.
Yeah. Well, I would have to say that even as far back as like 2017, for me personally, I started having like very strange dreams, like they were almost prophetic, of things that are happening now in the world. And around that time, I was pregnant with my second daughter, and I started understanding and knowing things that like I had no prior knowledge of, that I didn't try to seek out information that just came to me about like random things like reptilians or like, wars that were going to happen or just like other strange things. And then in 2017, whenever I like after I had my daughter, I seen like my very first like lucid, like very real type of being, and it was a tree type being. One
And
second, my daughter just got up.
yeah,
So,
like I said, Selena is a wonderful mother, and we'll just take a time out there. It is such a interesting subject matter that we're going to get into because Selena has actually provided energy work for both me and Canadian Spinja. And it's something that I explained on my episode with Matt Mornian as well. You know that you're dealing with somebody who is truly energetically gifted when they provide you an energetic session and you can feel it I don't know how many of you have siblings or whatnot, or will understand the game. I'm not touching you. That's kind of the way it feels when you get an energetic session from I can now say either Matt or Selena. It literally feels like they are in your auric field. And I know most of the people watching the show will understand what the auric field is. So on different occasions, they have both, and they live in different areas, quite obviously, have reached out and been able to provide energy work for both Canadian Spinja and myself. And it's truly phenomenal. And that's another thing that I wanted to talk to her about.
Thank you for that, Don.
Yeah, no worries. Um, so I guess we'll get into the energy work side of it. And I guess what got you interested in the energy work and the intuition? They kind of go hand in hand, right?
Yeah, well, I think that when I very first started really seriously looking into everything, I think I did it more from what I had recognized as a pattern in myself as I kept getting into these sort of toxic, abusive type of relationships. And I knew that I needed help. And so initially, because I wanted to be a great mom, and I felt like if I perpetuated a bunch of like toxic patterns without knowing why or how I got myself involved in them, that I would pass that trauma down to my children. And so I was really determined to find help and seek out like anything to make my soul feel alive, because it had gotten to the point where like it was very hard for me at times even to get out of bed because of the despair and hopelessness that I felt. And I think that being able to like look for solutions that could support who I wanted to become in my highest version of myself is what like really like kind of pushed me towards all of it. But I actually, what happened was that really got me kind of like looking at all this stuff very differently was I was watching Danny Henderson's show, and she had her mentor on, Chris Lamont, and so I reached out to Chris, and I started talking to him, and he started like putting like letting me go through these classes that he did in a center that he runs, and they were like basically how to feel into your own energy, and like just different exercises to learn how to like move the energy around in your body so it's not stuck in one spot or like stagnated to where it like creates a loop or a cycle of this sort of behavior that you fall back into whenever you're in your default mode. So I don't know if that answered that question, but yeah. So like, and I reached out to him, and from there, like as I was doing the classes about a year into it, and I was like looking into stuff and researching things, and um, I just like developed this deeper and deeper awareness and understanding of how reality worked. And I didn't like even know that like I would be able to do like psychic things like I do now. I didn't know that like I was gifted. I just thought I was crazy. That's why I really like Matthew Mornings's book. Was like, maybe you're not crazy, you're psychic, and like that's exactly how I feel about like almost everybody that suffers with mental illness also, is like we're just perceiving and understanding things in such like a different level that like we as humans, there's no way, there's nobody to teach us what that is, and why we're feeling things differently and how unique we are to even each other, that nobody could really teach you how to be an individual, because that's only something you learn on trial and error, you know.
I think that's really hitting it right on the head. And what I wanted to ask you is like with these energy sessions and some of the other things you do, would you consider it ESP or a form of it?
Mm, yeah, I mean, I think that all of it is kind of like ESP, because you're basically, whenever I'm doing a healing on someone, I'm not like doing anything like special or outrageous. What I'm doing is influencing the energy around them to support like what they want to do, what their highest self wants to do, or what their goals of the highest self is, or like removing stuck energy. So I feel like I think it's all kind of tied in together because, like, the way that we perceive and understand things can be labeled so many different things based upon, background, education, and so on and so forth, but I do think it's all at its core like the same thing, and I do think that humanity is definitely evolving to be telepathic, or it might even just be like a remembrance of who we once were, but it's something that is happening and it's actively happening in people now, like, and I feel like it's it's something that, like, all of the distractions in the world have kept us, like, from really being able to connect to who we really are, and everything is meant to influence us to not like ourselves, or to, like, to be like who we aren't really like someone else, whenever we really, like, what we need to do is just surrender into who we actually are, and allow ourselves to exist without judgment, and I think, like, that is where all the growth comes in at.
I I agree with that, and it just made me think like ESP kind of gets a pigeonholed into the one thing. Like everybody just thinks ESP is like, I can read your mind or I can move this with my mind, but it's extra sensory perception, which is a broad scale of things because if you think about this entire reality, there's millions of frequencies and things that we can't perceive as humans, except that
Oh
some of
yeah,
us
completely.
see things beyond our actual perception. That's what extra sensory perception is. They put it in the woo woo term so nobody would pay attention to it. Right?
Right. Hold
That's
on one
that's what I
second. I'm
mean. Like
sorry.
that's what I mean. Like the term ESP got it got put into a misnomer, and it's far more vast than what we realize. And I think that's a lot of what's happening with a lot of people right now is that a lot of them are starting to open up these perceptions as they're elevating their vibration, their experience in their mind. They're expanding all of these neurocognitive I can't say it. Their brain's lighting up. And it really does seem that like neurodivergent people especially are all starting to come online. And I'm one of them. I know Selena's busy, but it's a story I can share with you guys. Is I had a very rough go through the public education system, and I can remember being in grade 3 and my mom telling my teacher that she was going to knock her teeth out because my teacher had just called me stupid. Well, alluded to the fact what she said exactly was, "We don't know what to do. Maybe he's just stupid." And my mom's reply was, "If you ever call my son stupid, I will knock the rest of your teeth out." But I look at the educational system and it was like asking a fish to climb a tree for me. Like from like grade 1, I'll go back even further. In kindergarten, I used to come to school in a suit. I brought a comb to school with me. I was that into school. I got into grade 1 and the kids made fun of me because I wore a suit and I participated, and it broke something in me at a very young age, and it basically just told me to shut off my intelligence. I felt as though I was as smart now as I was then, and that traumatic experience at like age 5 just shut me off. I was like
Yeah.
an adult stuck in a child's body. And there's what I was saying is there's something going on with neurodivergent people right now, and a lot of them are coming online.
Oh yeah, definitely. I can totally see that. I think that's what happens with a lot of people who are labeled as neurodivergent, is like they just are experiencing and sensing things in a way that, like, even doctors don't yet understand. There's no language to it, and it's not something that the science has proven yet, but it's definitely coming, and it's definitely happening.
No, and sorry, Aurora's sad at my story about 5-year-old me. I didn't mean to make
I
anybody
know
sad.
it's
I was just sharing that like neurodivergent people are highly intelligent. Like I started watching the telepathy tapes because Spinja told me about it, and oh my god, if you're listening to this, go and listen to the telepathy tapes because I felt emotionally and psychically connected when the one boy was typing his messages out. Like it is the most phenomenal series I've listened to, and I'm only halfway through it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Sorry, I kind of went off on a squirrel there.
No, you're
But
fine. I'm sorry. I got distracted by Gia.
no, what I was wondering is like, as far as energy work, do you consider that a form of ESP? Because it's a perception. Like you're dealing with the energies of the universe. And I know a lot of
Hmm.
people are like, oh, that's nonsense. But here's the thing, if you can measure the electronic frequency in the air, that means that you can gather it, which means that you, which is a whole other free energy thing. But it also means that you can, I don't like the word manipulate, but work with it. Because if you can gather it, then it's tangible. And
Yeah.
what I'm getting at is that kind of what you're doing when you're sending energy or whatever your process is. You're basically gathering energy to help the other
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, it is. It is like that. It's very
That,
similar to that, I would say. Yes. And the fact that like sometimes like some energy is stuck in certain spots of the body, and so sometimes you like move that around within the person, shift it around, and it will release blockages within like their psyche and like their body and different things too, like farts.
sorry, I, I love to hear on my show. Spinja just got her level 2 Reiki, and I just had gallbladder surgery. And I was actually in a fair bit of pain the one day, and it was a gas issue. So she provided
Yeah,
that relieved some pressure in a
you
flatulent.
farted.
Oh yeah,
Nice. I love
yeah,
farting.
yeah.
Yeah, it's very satisfying.
Oh yeah. I well, the last time I had my show, they were talking about my farts in the chat, so I figured I may as well just talk about it right on the show.
Yeah,
So
might as well bring it out in the open. I mean,
yeah,
it's the elephant in the
everybody
room.
farts, and Reiki can help you
Yes.
fart. So
Yes.
that's the message for today. No,
Reiki,
just
Reiki for fart blockages.
yeah. We were actually gonna make a commercial Reiki for that. Like, got a gas pain,
Yeah.
Reiki for that. Oh,
Constipation is some of the worst pain that you can ever really feel, though. Like, really, like, whenever it's been a couple days and you got those deep stomach cramps. I mean, yeah.
yes. Uh, um. So you and I, sorry, I'm just laughing at the chat. Um,
Yeah.
you and I have talked about transdimensional experiences as well, and I don't
Yeah.
want to go right into SSP because, like myself personally, I consider most of the time I'm asleep a transdimensional experience because, like, when I shut this body off, my reality just wakes up somewhere else. Like, yes, I do have regular dreams sometimes, but I would
Right.
say 3 to 4 nights a week, I'm having entire experiences in another reality.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering if you've had similar things because we've talked about it loosely before.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had experiences in other realities and other like dimensions and stuff. And I think like one of the very first dreams I had that was kind of like that, I felt like I connected to the eighth sphere, which I don't know if you know what that is, but Steiner talks about it a lot in his work. But um I had this dream that I was still working at the aquarium and everything looked totally different. So while I was there, like I knew everything was fake. And then all of a sudden I looked up and then like a bunch of like alien stuff started falling from the sky. Oh, and I think I had transdimensional experiences my entire life actually. This is something I was actually thinking on. because I remember even times when I was younger that I'll have like things that have happened to me that like stand alone, like it's not connected to any other thought or time or space of anything that I've had connected with previously. And so then like I have these dreams that feel like more like reality, you know? And one of the very first ones I had about aliens before I even knew like aliens were real and like any of this stuff really existed or outside of what like I understood could be real. I was like in this dream and I looked up at the sky and like a big zipper like unzipped the sky and these like five aliens came out and like everyone was like hush. They were like still like, oh shit, like fucking the aliens are here, you know? And then like then they were like, hey Selena, and then like everyone started partying and they're like you know. So then I was like, all right, okay, I understand. And then like I also think I've had like times where like I'm like on missions rescuing kids that are like being trafficked because another thing that I've had like memories of or like just like a knowing of or like even dreams of are these kids that are like stuck underground and like like prison cells and stuff. And I remember just like always feeling like that sorrow. You know what I mean? Like this is real. And then like I never knew it was real until I found out it was real. So I've had so many like experiences throughout my life like that like I definitely think that like I do like travel through dimensions or time or space. Yeah.
Do you think that, and this is my own theory, and I'd love to hear your thought on it, that
Sure.
when you're having these experiences, it's basically, hi, Husky, a stage of your conscious existence? Like, there's a lot of us in this community understand that time is not really linear. This is just how we can
Right.
experience, right?
Yes.
Do you think that
Right.
when we get these memories or overlays or experiences when we're asleep or on some type of breathing exercise or like plant medicine or whatever, that it's another stage of your conscious existence, I guess?
I do. I think that we are like existing in like I think every single reality that you can think of that could exist, like that varies from like one decision to the next. Like there's so many infinite amount of realities that at any time and place, like we can call on like parts of our consciousness that might be in another dimension or space or time. Since like you said, time is not linear; it's stacked, and everything happens all at once at exactly the same time. So I feel like that's what it is to become more individuated, is to call upon your highest version of yourself that exists like without all those other influences, and it comes through like the more that you find yourself. And like I know everyone says that, but like it's literally the truth. The more that you build a relationship with yourself and find out who you are and what you like without feeling guilty about it and without feeling any kind of way, like the better you have a chance of finding your higher self and connecting with that.
Do you, on that note, like, because I know we're connecting to different versions of ourselves, do you
Hmm.
think it's possible? Because I can only use this to explain some of the gnosis I've gained, that we can actually take things from our other realities. Because a lot of what I know, I can openly say I have not researched. Yeah, I watched the odd video. Spinja helps me out with a lot of knowledge, but there is a lot of things that I just woke up and knew. And I mean, literally, I will go to sleep thinking about something and wake up and know.
Yeah.
And
Well, I definitely do think that. I think that our energy is in constant motion. Like that's another like rule of the universe, is everything is in motion. And I think that like is definitely about our energy too, because like if our energy is constantly in motion, then what's keeping this physical vessel here is but just like one spark of like what's going on. So I think that as our energy is like moving and existing like within this like wave, it's like gathering information and experiences throughout different times where we've like registered the experience and taken it on as this is like part of my individual, you know what I mean? Because like your higher self is triggered and it like knows how to interconnect to all of that.
I think you're right. And when you say higher self, what's a different version, like a higher density version of ourselves that has a better understanding of the universe, is what we're saying, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like that part of you that's connected to the divine, that has understanding of all, that has like all knowing and all, you know what I mean? Like that part of you that like just like first had that desire to like break out of the oneness of source and just like become like this person, you know. And that's like, I think like we all start as kind of like this collective flame, and then like the sparks that fly off of it are like just different individual like lives, you know, like people individuating. And so I think like your higher self is like the part of you that knows what's best for you, wants what's best for you, like that's going to lead you on your best, highest timeline. That's going to like allow you to understand what you like, what you don't like, you know, and the whole gamut of the human experience. Like that's like what you're meant to like ride with. Like once you get that individuation of like who you are, once you get closer to who you are, I think it's like these bodies become easier to navigate, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I want to take something from the audience here. And Derek, please put your answer in the chat. He says he disagrees with the timeline thing or the time thing that I said. I I
Yeah.
will absolutely hear you out. So please put it in the chat. Um, what I wanted to ask you though is, do you think, and this is something that I've kind of been kicking around too, do you think that this is base reality?
Like what we're experiencing right now,
Yeah,
I think that this, like what we are kind of experiencing, is an agreed upon collective of experiences that exist within a paradigm that has existed back at, like for generations and generations and generations of people who have built this construct to try to keep us chained within like the matrix of like the rat race, and like trying to like just fucking like keep up with the Joneses and shit, you know? And when reality, like whenever the awakening is us breaking out of those like molds and like becoming like I'm an awake person, like I have complete sovereignty over my mind, my body, my thoughts, my emotions, and everything, that everything, you know. And I that's what I think about that. Sorry, I don't know if that answered your question.
it does, and it leads very nicely into, um, do you think that I Spinge and I talk about this all the time. I think a lot of what the separation is going to be, or the ascension, is going to be those of us that realize that you can elevate to an emotional frequency where you can step outside of the sociological construct that we're all stuck in, i.e., the matrix. Literally, what
Hmm.
we're talking about is the thing we call society is the trap, right? What they've turned,
Yeah.
we're supposed to be part of families and communities, not society as they've put us into it. They've
No,
just
totally, completely.
pushed us into
Yeah.
this, and that was the trap. Do you
Right.
think, there's a possibility that we're going to be able to, that's going to be part of the split, is those of us that just step outside of the sociological construct?
Yeah, I definitely do think that's going to happen. I think it's already happening right now. I mean, there's going to be the people who are rebellious and who aren't going to like take like, you know, the fucking chip from the transhumanist people and like all the crazy shit that's coming down the line. You know, like there are going to be the people who are breaking out of those molds, and I think that it's something that I feel like highly gifted people, a lot of like people who are psychically in tune, like suffer with loneliness, because like we've never understood why we are different from everyone else, and like why people feel uneasy around us and why we could sense that, you know. And I think that like more than ever, as people are breaking out and like starting to realize like, hey, like this reality is not what it seems, and they're trying to control us and like keep us down, like the more that we have to find like-minded people and build like real communities of people who are willing to like be there and help each other out, you know, because what we need more than anything is connection, not being separate from one another, you know, but like genuine connection to where you feel like you can be safe and yourself around. And and another thing is like I feel like a lot of times people try to make like all this out to be very like, it's great, now I'm enlightened and I have abilities, but like Okay, yeah, sure, but let's talk about all the fucking suffering you had to go through before you had to get you got all that, not to mention like the mind games, like the patterns that you fell into a few times, the utter madness, And I think that we as a community and us as a humanity need to not guilt ourselves for whenever we aren't feeling like we're being our best, because like we would give that grace to anyone else. And I think it's more important than ever for us to turn that inward, to like really be thankful that we are here and that we have the ability to do the things that we do, and that like people and everything is changing. Like people are waking up, and this is something that, people have been talking about wanting for years, and like it's going to be shocking to people. It's going to be scary for a lot of people. And so like the world is just under a lot of distress, and we have to be there for people, and help them ease into it, as best as we can, and especially for each other too, and for ourselves.
I agree with that because I think there's a large part of this entire ascension process that has to do, and again, this is my own personal thoughts, has to do with emotional frequency because that was a rabbit hole that I had a butt cheek in, as Stephen from BG Cast would say. Like, I if you elevate your emotional frequency, then eventually your perception is going to change, and your perception can change reality.
Yeah.
And I think if enough of us elevate our emotional frequency to where the things that they are trying to attach to us and get us to be attached to will no longer resonate with us, and that's where we will begin to change on a fundamental level.
Yeah, and I think that's already happening for lots of people. I think people are like, because you can tell like the people who like are wanting to really grow and change, like you can always see it like in their behavior and like how they're acting. Like, you could see growth. Like when somebody is growing, you can see it. There's evidence for it. And I feel like a lot of people have been growing, and then a lot of people are being exposed for, like perhaps like not being like the greatest people, that are maybe lying about things, And I think that's the time. It's a time for authenticity, It's a time for us to really like, take off the mask and like be ourselves, because like, man, we have to be. We have to learn to accept who we are.
I I do agree with that. There's definitely a lot of that going on right now. Um,
Yeah.
I seen that Derek is gonna answer here, so just give me 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, in our reality and our level, time is linear from our plane of existence. Now, maybe if a portal exists or something like that, or once we go to the heavens, then it's different. Yes, I would agree with that. When I say time isn't linear, I mean, if we were able to be outside of this density, like when I said that, I meant like we as humans, we from our perception have to experience it in linear form. But if you were to go to fifth dimension, sixth dimension, and beyond that, like you would see that the construct of time is actually one thing. That was what I meant. I didn't mean to misquote. Okay. Sorry, squirrels. Damn squirrels. Uh,
Shiny.
yeah. So that was something else I wanted to ask you about, and we won't get too much into your children, but are you openly intuitive around them, and do you think that they are going to be more open to this type of thing given your understanding of reality?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm openly intuitive around them, and like we do a lot of like just like little exercises to like help grow their abilities and stuff, And my oldest daughter, she is like a medium, and then my middle child, she talks to animals, like, yeah, for real. And then my youngest, she's like telepathic.
I don't doubt that. um,
What?
I said I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, do you guys interact with it at all? Like, do you guys see if you can like read each other's minds, or can she guess the number that you're thinking of, or things like that, because kids are very intuitive, and I think that's something
Yeah.
that we're spoken of by, you know, as we're slowly slid into society, we're broken of our abilities.
Yeah, that's something that we do all the time. We do the number thing, and then we also do like shapes and colors too. And we also do like animals. And yeah, we do like a lot of little things like that.
That's really cool. Um, I
Yeah.
want to ask you, sorry, when I was writing this interview, Spinja and I were having a conversation, and I wrote a question for you and for the audience, and it's completely off topic. And
Okay.
um, so, is anyone else noticing the amount of electrical current or frequency coming from your cellular devices lately if you hold them in your hand? I don't know if it's that I'm becoming more energetically open, or if there's something more being pumped through in a not so healthy manner into our cellular devices. But my phone now feels like I'm holding onto a small electrical current every time I touch it.
Hmm. That hasn't happened to me like that, but I do feel like they have done something to it, you know? Just because whenever like I feel into my phone, it is felt differently, like around the time that like TikTok got taken down for like 12 hours, you know? So like for me, I felt like there was a shift with technology and all that stuff around that time.
I could see that because there's definitely been some weird frequency coming off of our cellular devices.
Yeah,
And
there has
yeah.
been.
Sorry, I'm gonna pull this up too. Jason H. Her daughter knew I had a burn on my hand somehow once.
Yeah.
That is very cool. So there is confirmation that your daughter was able to say that Jason had a burn on his hand and they weren't anywhere near each other.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That is very cool. What did oh Aurora says, I've been feeling it too, especially when it's plugged into. Yes,
Yeah, it's like that more when it's plugged in the charger.
yeah, like there's something being pumped. There's something going on with our devices, right? There's
Yeah.
a very specific reason I end my shows with telling people to get away from your screen because,
Yeah.
well, Spin and I were talking about this, and she gave me a brief description of phones being a scrying mirror, and you're basically sending a message from your scrying mirror via a demonic frequency to somebody else's scrying mirror.
Yeah, that's pretty intense. Yeah, I can see that theory, you
Yeah,
know.
and why I kind of wonder if this is base reality because we use these instead of our abilities because I don't think we even need these,
No, I don't
right?
think we need these either. Yeah.
If you think about like radio waves, okay, they work on electromagnetic frequency, right? So do
Hmm.
our thoughts. The only
Yeah.
difference is they're being directly channeled by a bigger antenna. Well, we have an antenna in our
Yeah.
head. We've just forgot how to use it, right?
Right.
I think that there is some way for us to be able to, like, I should be able to just go, hey Selena, you want to shoot the shit, and we can have a conversation in our heads.
With our minds. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And there's obviously some type of like there has to be like an offer and acceptance, right? There's still
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
personal, right? And I'm going to go back to the telepathy tapes because that's what a lot of the parents were experiencing is like my mind's not even my own anymore, right?
Oh, yeah.
You wouldn't want the entire world to be an open frequency because goddamn nobody wants to know what I think all the time because even the stuff I say on here there's stuff I don't say, right? It's
Right.
all fucked
Yeah.
up. So like I think there's a way that we can do that with our minds. I just think it's been taken away from us, or we've forgotten, or we've been blocked from it.
Yeah, I think that too.
Do you think there's ways that we can actually sharpen um, these type of abilities?
Yeah, I do. I think like if you start meditating, I mean, even just for a few minutes a day, or you like learn to train your focus. So like even if you're not good at meditating and you can't visualize, you can try coloring. Coloring helps the same way, you know. Anything that you like to do, you can like listen to music and focus on that, and I think that helps too, you know. So anything you can do that you can keep that can keep your attention can help you, you know, with
Yeah,
that.
myself, I find like frequencies off of YouTube or binaural beats. Um,
Yeah, those work.
another, another one I got into was there's this lady, and I think it's Your Universe, and she does these. They're almost like hypnosis sessions, but they're neuro editing too. And what it does is it teaches your left and right hemisphere to communicate instead of like one at a time. There, it, yeah, it's
That's
very,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
So another thing I wanted to ask you about, because you've pulled cards for us as well, what got you into card reading and that side of intuition, and where did you learn? And yeah, I have more questions, but we'll start with that.
Well, what got me into it, I had kind of done that off and on for years before, like prior, you know, and what got me into it more was just wanting to learn more about myself and like kind of like why I was doing the things I was doing. And so I just started playing with the cards a lot. And then I accidentally found out that I was kind of good at it, you know. And then one day I was at a Christmas party and people there were like, "Will you pull cards for me?" And I was like, "Sure." And like every single person like I pulled for, it was like maybe five people, like all of them were like, there was like spot on reading, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can interpret the meanings of these symbols. You know, I am so powerful. And like, so like I really didn't study anything at all. I just kind of intuit whenever it comes up. I mean, I have watched, you know, other people read, which I learn a lot from, like watching Aurora and Matthew read, like that's good information, you know. And I would like to take a class, yeah, but like I never really like took a class or anything. I just kind of like taught it myself, and then from there I found out that like I was like good at it, and then like I started practicing more and more and more for like at least a year before I ever, you know, went on a show or anything. And then one day I just went and I did it, and that was really scary for me. So that was on my growth right there. So yeah.
Yes, you have definitely come out of your shell over the last several months, and I I was sitting back kind of like, well, Spin and I both were sitting back kind of like a proud parent. Like it
Thank you.
really was wonderful to see you come from like behind the Selena Inglez on the chats all the time to coming out and showing everybody this wonderful human that you are, right?
Thank
And
you.
you truly do deserve all the best things, because I know that's what you do and what you intend for everybody else, right?
Yeah.
Which
Mhm.
kind of brings me to what I wanted to wrap up on, probably, is how would you explain that we have the ability for our intention to affect our reality?
How would I explain how we use our intention to affect reality?
Yes.
Well, that's an excellent question, Don. And I would have to say that first of all, it's a lot of work to like to really get like what to really start changing your reality exactly how you want it to be. And this all goes back kind of the same thing. It's like, yeah, you have to have a relationship with yourself. Like you have to know what you want. You have to really have a deep understanding of like where you've been and kind of like where you want to go. And then upon building a relationship with yourself, like finding out what you like and what you do not like, and then even along the way, there are things that maybe you thought that you might have healed from, but like, oh, not quite yet. So like now you're gonna get this other wrench thrown in. So like it's like an onion, it's very layered. So like real manifestation and real reality affecting only happens whenever you are very secure within yourself. Otherwise, we do still like influence the reality around us, but it's in a way that's more chaotic. So I don't know if you've ever seen the show The Good Place, but that show, like when they go to the good place, like they're affecting the reality. And it's like there are subconscious things also that are happening underlying within us as human beings that also work in effect to create our reality that are not necessarily things that we're aware of. It's kind of like, you know, what is that called? The iceberg. Like, you know how an iceberg, you only see part of it out of the water, but how much
Yeah.
bigger and like more expansive it is like underneath the water. So like to really really intentionally affect our reality, we have to really intentionally be affecting and changing ourselves and growing within ourselves and creating goals for ourselves and understanding what we do and do not want. And then from there, like it's kind of like you start to fall in love with yourself and you start to really accept yourself, and then the opportunities present themselves, and then in real time you can affect what you want to happen by keeping a balanced perspective of what could go wrong and what could go the best, and then like creating a plan and then standing firm within that choice. Does that make sense?
It does. And
Okay.
I think the only thing I would really add to that is just our recent personal experience. Like, Spinja and I have been on this journey together, and we've experienced. She kind of like kicked me in the ass out of bed and jump started my awakening. But like, we've been on this energetic experience together, and like going through this spiritual awakening together. And I think one of the ways that we've recently come to understand that you can, at least in some manner, affect your reality is it doesn't matter if it's a green light or 10 cents on the street. We've been observing and thanking the universe for everything
Oh
positive.
yeah, that helps.
Anything positive that comes our way. It's like, I didn't fall in that hole. Thank you. Like, and I know it's going to seem dumb to a lot of people. Like, oh, you're just being like so happy. No, I'm not trying to say be happy all the time. Be aware of when you don't get fucked over. Because if you start to be more grateful for when you don't get fucked over, you'll stop getting fucked over. I know that wasn't the most articulate way to put that, but it's the best way I can say it. Oh, I think she went to do mommy stuff again. What do we got here? Shadow work. Shadow work, from my perception, is completely different level of removing dark architecture in your physical vessel. An energy vessel to become one with shadow work is literally removing black goo. Very well said, Angel Wings. And Jason H has. I have also been listening to throat singing, and he also wants us to know that Shrek knows onions because Selena was talking about onions.
No onion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But no, like I was saying, I do think that you can positively affect your reality. And like I said, don't go running around with a smile on your face like you're on
Oh
something.
yeah.
I'm not
Hmm.
asking everybody to do that, but being observant and really seeing when the world's not screwing you over is
Yeah,
sometimes the
definitely.
best, is sometimes the best form of healing. Like, everybody knows Spinja had a motor vehicle accident, and it was kind of crappy. We lost a lot of money, and a lot of bad came out of it. She got hurt, and the best thing I could say to her is like, yeah, but if you hadn't listened to that voice in your head that was your mom and slowed down and turned, he'd have hit you 2 seconds sooner, and it would have been in the door, and you wouldn't be here,
Oh
right?
yeah.
It,
Right.
it's
There's
that
always a
kind
silver lining.
it's that kind of awareness of like, yeah, okay, we lost thousands of dollars and hours of hard work, and you could you could be shitty about it, or you could realize that my wife didn't die that day, right?
Oh yeah. Right.
Right. And like that was one of the really big catalysts for me to start doing this positive outlook on things, and it really is about thanking the universe for the small things,
I agree with you.
right? And I think if people can get themselves to that mindset at least a couple of times a day, it would definitely change how they're experiencing their reality. No, it's not the new Corvette or whatever in the garage, right? But I don't think we're meant to have that type of ability in this reality. Can we
Yeah.
change the way our world is vibrating? Yeah, I think absolutely. You know, e- I'll give another silly example. Even at my job, my boss is OCD and very abrupt. And it can come off as very mean and demanding. And
Right.
I've found a very positive way to diffuse him. I thank him.
Oh
When
wow, that's awesome.
when he gets abrasive, I'm like, oh yeah, I see that. And instead of getting pissed off in any way, there's nothing he can do anymore. Because he's
Yeah,
like,
that's
oh,
true.
he thanked me.
Right.
Well, now what do I do? Like I can't keep yelling at him. He
That's
thanked me,
funny.
right? Like it just
Right.
totally disarms. Like where before I would like get stressed out and get sucked into it and like, oh my god, this negative energy, my boss hates me, I'm so stupid, this world sucks. No, you don't need to do that. You can just go, oh, okay, thank you for the lesson, and carry on, right? What is this? Angel wings, right? I just ordered pizza but hut I can't afford, but I have faith something coming later, so treating us tonight since my vehicle won't get fixed till now Monday. See, and that's something I'm gonna say too. Thank you, Angel Wings. There is a fucking attack going on this community, and you can call it Project Oblivion. You can call it whatever you want. It goes after our health, our vehicles, and our money, right?
Patterns. It's
and
patterns.
and there's a pattern. It's happened to Angel Wings. It's happened to me and Spinja. It's happened to people at work that are very high vibration.
Selena.
I don't want to put other people's business out, but like it's happening to everybody, and it's not right. There is something. There is some type of influence, and you can call this my crazy rant. But there is some type of influence affecting people of a higher vibration to attempt to bring them down, and I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna figure it out because it's pissing me off, right? My truck broke the one time because a button broke. It was $1,200, and then I got sick, and then we had the truck accident, and then I got sick again, and this time I needed my gallbladder out, right? And this isn't even just my story. I am hearing this almost every damn day in our community, that there is some type of attack going on people's finances, their home life, and their health, and it's not right, and it needs to stop.
Yeah, it's been happening to me too. My car
I
just
didn't want to
broke.
put your shit out. That's why I didn't say it.
No, it's okay. I had to deal with Gia. She's not going to bed. But yeah, no, I gotten sick lately. Like my heater broke and then like one thing after another, my car broke. So but
No,
yeah.
it there's something going on. Like it seems to always go after those three. Like it's like people, Angel Wings was saying in the chat that her car's broken, so she treated them to Pizza Hut,
Yeah.
right? Like this is crazy because
Nice.
it's happening to our community. Like I don't hear regular 9 to 5ers that are normal having the same financial and physical and like just the burden, right? I
Yeah.
have 9 to 5 friends, right? I have a ceiling where I can talk to them and what I can say in front of them, but I do
Right.
have 9 to 5 friends, and
Normies.
yeah, they have relatively normal life experiences. Their finances don't get attacked. They just go through life like, oh, I work a regular job. I'm hardworking. I get everything I deserve. And that's how their life is. And it's like,
Yeah.
what the hell? Oh, we have manifested Mr. Matt Mornian. Thank you for joining.
Oh.
We were actually, well, Selena was boasting and talking about your book earlier, Matt, which I still have to get my hands on.
Very good.
But um so if somebody wanted to get a hold of you for energy work, which I can give my testimony to anybody that will listen,
Thank you.
or wanted reading or just some advice, if you're into that, where can they get
I'm
a hold
into
of
it.
you?
Sure.
Because I know you and I have
Um,
had amazing conversations.
yeah, totally. And I'm down to talk to anyone anytime about anything, you know. So, my email is Selena, my first name, Writes, WRITES, the number 16 at gmail.com. And I'm gonna make a website, but I haven't done that yet. And then you can also, if you find me on Facebook, you can message me on there, or you can find me. Well, I don't have the Discord app on my phone right now, but I will check it again. So, like, if you are on Discord, it's my name, Selena Inglez, on there too. And that's pretty much it. Oh, I have TikTok, but I mean, yeah, I don't know what my name is on there.
You don't. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had TikTok or probably ever will. I'm the old guy in the room, I'll admit it. Um, so something before we go, and I know we have some very powerful people in the audience. This show has been a conversation about manifestation and positive energy, and something I'd like everybody in the audience to do right now, and everybody who hears this in the future, is if you could send some positive financial energy towards Selena and her lovely family. They could use this
Yes.
blessing at this time and can use any positive energy that you could possibly send to them. I don't usually ask for these things, but this is one of the most wonderful mothers taking on an
Oh,
absolutely
thank you.
horrendous reality that I think deserves everyone's
Thank
support,
you.
right?
Thank you.
So if you can't send her anything, send her love and positivity. And I want to thank everybody for watching. Selena, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. And like I
Thank
always
you.
say, if you can go outside because it's better than being in front of a screen. Thank you all. I love you.
Good night.